So before the pandemic, what I generally do is, so that would be 2019. So what I generally do is we always stay in contact with our runners, either through, email, voicemail. Sometimes we'll meet up during the week. So my running experience happens beyond the pavement. So generally what happens is everybody at some point would take out the time and look at their personal calendar for the year. Sometimes we'll go ahead and we'll share any news, any updates, anything here, anybody hearing about different races that's going on throughout the year. We also communicate through Facebook in terms of, hey, what is everybody up to for 2019? What are you doing? What are your plans? So we're always in conversation about the current year and what's going on. So for my schedule for 2019, it was very loose. I didn't have anything particularly in mind. I did find out about there was a couple of things I wanted to get into, and that was mostly just doing like local races and just running, just meeting up with my group every Saturdays. I didn't really have anything concrete for 2019. It was just really about just staying engaged with my group, staying connected with my Facebook group, because I belong to a group on Facebook, and just continue to run.
Hi, I'm Kathleen, and to Coach G's testament, I started training with her in 2019. I went from a 19-40-minute pace per mile, and right now I am at 10:30-39. Yeah. Only 2 years. Yeah. The training is rigorous, but if you want to get to a level where you're running, it's worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, and
hey, good morning. This is Dee. I started running with Gisela a couple of years ago, and she said to me one day, she says, one day you're going to do a marathon, and I'm like, I'm not sure about that. But what happened was you start, as Kathleen said, you start slow, you start training, you go from 3 miles to 5 miles to 10 miles, you start signing up for races, and the next thing you know, it's a build up to the marathon. So I'm really excited about the Brooklyn Half today. I'm excited about it being virtual, because what you're able to do is you're able to curate your location, your time, your place. You have a lot of pull, and I'm just glad we were all able to get together and decide on this wonderful location. The day of the week is beautiful. Today is a beautiful day, so I'm excited about everything that we're about to do moving forward.
And the other thing I had mentioned was maybe getting involved in more cross training, whether that would be boxing, whether that would be running, maybe some swimming, bike riding. So nothing terribly concrete about 2019. No marathons or anything of that nature. So that was 2019 for me. I have moments in running where I just want to run for the sake of running, not necessarily in the narrative of let me sign up for a race, because I've done quite a few races, and it's a wonderful thing to have something to look forward to. But I think 2019, it's just all about continuing to run, focusing more on dietary habits and lifestyle, and looking at some cross training. That was pretty much it for 2019. There was nothing that particularly stood out about 2019. The other thing is I know that New York Road Runners in 2020, there were a lot of people were training for 2019 to do the New York City Marathon, and 2020 was a big year because it was the 50th anniversary. So many of my runners were very excited in 2019 because they knew they were getting geared up for 2020. But I knew that I was not running in 2020 because in 2020 I turned 50. I think my organization had other things going on. I was excited about that. We had other events happening there. So I pretty much knew what I was not doing. I knew I was not doing a marathon. I had my experience running the New York City Marathon and had a great experience. I'm one and done with that. I don't anticipate me running the New York City Marathon again, but never say never. But yeah, I distinctly remember 2020 was a big year for the New York City Marathon for the 50th anniversary. So those were part of the conversations. And I did have the opportunity to throw my name in, but I already knew ahead of time that I wasn't going to do it. Okay, so as far as the run is concerned, I continued to run. I wanted to look back on 2020 and ask myself, what did I do with that time? I continued to run. We continued to stay engaged with our running group. Everybody in my group continued to run. Now, we took all the safety precautions. We did not meet up as a group. We dismantled that for now. So what we did in turn was we did our Zoom calls once a month just to say hi, just to catch up, making sure everybody was okay. And we encourage everybody just to keep exercising, and everybody continued to exercise. There were, once the restrictions were somewhat lifted, there were quite a few runners that did do like kind of local stuff where, you know, they had to make sure they were properly vaccinated, they had to wear masks and so forth. I don't believe I signed up for anything. My goal was to continue to run, continue to exercise, and stay plugged in to the running community. That was it. So somewhere along 2020, we found out about the Boston Marathon. So a lot of races were going virtual for 2020.
Right.
And where virtual is nice, because with virtual, all you do is you sign up and you get to pick and choose the day, the time, and the location of the race. And all you have to do is once the race is over, you just have to upload that information on Strava, and then from Strava, you get it over to whatever race you're signing up for, and you get credit for it. So there were a lot of virtual races in 2020 and 2021. That said, somewhere along the line, we found out about the Boston Marathon going virtual. And that was very exciting because, as you know, the Boston Marathon is a very difficult race to do. The average person generally doesn't run the Boston Marathon. You have to be qualified to run the Boston Marathon. But what they did was they did something very special. Boston Marathon, I believe, is the second oldest marathon in the world. So they would, in 2021, they would be celebrating a very big anniversary. And the second thing they did was they opened up the registration for all runners for all levels, virtually. So they had a percentage of people that were doing it in person. I'm pretty sure those are the ones that qualified, I'm pretty sure. And then the rest of us had the opportunity to still participate, but it would be done virtually. So once I got wind of it, and like I said, I stay in contact with all my runners. Our relationship is beyond the pavement. So once I got that information, I got myself geared up and ready to be on that call, to be on that registration line, have my credit card ready so I can sign up for 2021 virtual. And I was able to get on the website. I paid my fee. I was extremely happy. And then from 2021, it was time for us to get together and decide when we would start our training. So 2021, the summer of 2021 is when I trained for the Boston Virtual. And I knew as I was training that I would not be doing anything else for the remaining year. I knew I was going to take a break after the virtual marathon. The training part takes up a lot of time and energy. And remember, we all work full-time jobs. We're not professional runners. So what you're having to do is you're having to make that sacrifice. Either you're training in the morning or you're training after work, you're training on the weekends. You know, we really do make an effort to stick with a running schedule. So it does take up a lot of time and energy and effort. So I knew immediately after the training was done that, and the race was in November, I knew after that I would be taking a break. I would take a break, and then from there I would decide on what's next for 2022. And I already had a few things in mind. So for 2022, I currently signed up for the Brooklyn Half. Now what they did with the Brooklyn Half is slightly a little different this year. As you know, the Brooklyn Half is one of the most popular races, second to the New York City Marathon. This race sells out in 10 to 15 minutes. Usually when you're signing up for the Brooklyn Half, back in the day, you'd have to physically get to your computer. You couldn't leave your computer. You don't go to the bathroom. As soon as that registration opens, you stay online until your registration is complete. I remember one year they sold out in 15 minutes. There was a couple of times where the website crashed. That's how popular this race is. So what they did this year was they did it in the form of a drawing. You go on the website, you put your name in the drawing. They let you know within 2 weeks or so if your name was selected. So you get that information via email. So once you register, they'll email you within a couple of weeks to let you know if your name was drawn. And my name was drawn, so I will be doing the Brooklyn Half in May. The other race that I'm looking to do is the Bronx Community Race, which is you can either do 7 miles or you could do I think it's a 5 miler or you could do a half marathon. No, I'm sorry, 5 mile or 10 miler. But I will be doing the Bronx Community Race, which I like to do every year. That's a good fundraiser. Also looking at, of course, doing the Percy Sutton Race, which is a 5 miler, and that is part of the whole Harlem Week, which happens in August. The Percy Sutton Race is now called the David Dinkins, so that's been renamed. So I'm looking forward to do that. I'm looking at probably doing the Bronx race, which I try to do every year. I'm from the Bronx, so I always like to rep the Bronx in September. And then the other thing that I have on the back burner is I'm going to throw my name in the hat for the Berlin Marathon. So what happens with that is, again, that's a drawing. Soon as that registration opens up for 2023, I will go ahead and register. If I'm selected, I'll get an email. And then from next year, that will be 2023, I will be training for the whole summer for that. And that race will be October of 2023. So that's pretty much it. Other than that, it's really about just, again, staying engaged with the group, continuing to exercise. Most importantly, dietary habits, dietary changes, adding more fruits and vegetables into my diet, doing some more cross-training, because that's the one thing that I haven't really done as much. It's been mostly racing and running and nothing else. So I'm looking forward to incorporating more cross-training into my program. That's pretty much it. And the other thing is I stay open to ideas, suggestions. You know, some of my runners, they'll call and say, hey, you know, there's a race coming up. You know, it's for a great cause. It's for a donation. It's a fundraiser. You know, so I keep my schedule very open and very flexible. But this year, in terms of signing up for races, it's pretty minimal. So we're looking at the Brooklyn Half. We're looking at the Bronx Community, the Harlem one, which is in the summertime, and you know the Bronx, the big Bronx one we have in September, and that's pretty much it. So now, in terms of training, depending on what you're signing up for, if you're signing up for races in the wintertime, you're training all throughout the year. Now, in terms of when you train, it depends on what you're signing up for. So, for example, if you're signing up for a race in the winter months, yes, you're out there in the wintertime. And that training will start early in the morning. We try to do that early in the morning, typically, let's say on a Saturday. We don't want to eat up everybody's time because we all have things to do. For the most part, most people are agreeable to train on a Saturday. So that would start, we would like for those things to start around 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. And yes, there are moments where we have to layer up, you know, because it's not exactly 80 degrees outside. You know, you're going if it's winter, you're going anywhere from like 20 degrees to maybe 30, given that.
I'm Kathleen. I started running in 2019 for the first time. I love running because it helps me to get well and to be running a group of lovely people who help me to motivate me and stuff like that. Today I'm running the Ted Corbett for the first time. It's my first time running the Ted Corbett, and so, you know, I'm looking forward to it. My coach G. There you go.
Okay. Hi, I'm Coach G. Giselle. I've been running forever, like 46 years now.
Hi, good morning. I'm Dee, and I'm also with Start Line Runners. Coach G is actually the one that really got me started. Started running a couple of years ago. I've done 2 marathons already, quite a few races. I'm doing a virtual marathon with these 2 ladies this morning, as I had mentioned before. Kathleen had mentioned this. We're doing the Ted Corbett run. And what's nice about virtual is that you can choose the time, you can choose the location, just as long as you get your miles in. I'm happy to be a runner. I love the whole running community, and I'm very excited today. Looking forward to more runs in the future. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm just happy to be out here. Yeah. I like all the calls.
So yeah, the winter training can be a little bit more challenging in terms of having to get up early, in terms of having to layer up clothes. If there's a race on Saturday, there is an actual physical race, and the race starts at 8. We have an appointed time where we want everybody to be at a specific location at 5 so we can get started early. Sometimes we have to commute to that particular place to do the race. So yeah, those are some of the challenges. But what happens is over a period of time, you just kind of get acclimated to it, including the cold. Yes. So we had quite a few runners in our group that signed up for the Boston Virtual. It was about 7 or 8 of us. So once everybody got through the registration process, they got confirmation, then from there, we had to have a discussion about what day we were going to do it, and when we would start our training. Because generally speaking, the training starts in the summertime, usually starts the week before or after July 4th. So we all got together and decided on the date and the time, and we all knew, because all of us have done past marathons, that the training would be the whole entire summer. Now, the only thing we had to do from there is we had to decide on the day and the date and the location and the route of the Boston Virtual. We decided on the date. We decided on the time. We're going to start 5 o'clock in the morning. And we decided on the location. We're going to meet at 161st Street at 5 o'clock, at 5 a.m., Saturday, October so-and-so. And that is the date we are doing this.
And so we're going to go all the way down the concourse to Kingsbridge.
Let's fix this.
Left on Kingsbridge to Van Cortlandt Park, all the way up to 240.
Okay.
Is somebody else coming?
She in place. Like she gonna post
240
it, you better
something.
bury me.
Okay.
240th. Where's the route? Then we
She is
come
not
back,
playing.
do 2 loops of the park. Here we go.
3
3 loops of the park, and then head towards Pelham.
Hello.
So if you're going to text it. And then we're on the Mashula Parkway towards Fordham University.
Me and all the Bronx, so I have to follow you.
You don't know the Bronx?
Me and all the
Oh my
Bronx.
gosh, she was
Last time y'all took me through bushes and cross highways and nearly got knocked down.
Listen.
All right.
Okay.
Good luck, lady. You got this, girl. But we're here running right here. You got this.
We going here?
Yes.
Okay.
All the way to Kingsbridge.
All the way to Kingsbridge. All right, ladies, here we go. Rock and roll.
We got this. Everybody like looking at like we always do our wine.
You all over the place.
got almost 10 miles in.
Yeah. I went to go take a picture with my group, Start Line Runners.
Okay.
So, yeah. So now I'm coming up on 10.
Yep.
Our group is meeting up somewhere. We're going to regroup for a minute.
Yep.
Use the bathroom.
Yep.
You know, freshen up. And then we're heading to City Island.
All right. I'll see you there.
Yes.
Good timing.
Yeah. We're going all the way to the end to Johnny's on the Reef.
Okay.
Because you can't go any further. So we're going to the end of City Island. And then we'll regroup. And then we'll start heading back.
All right.
So we got a good 15 miles in so far. We're not bad.
Yeah, you're doing a good time.
Yeah. We're doing it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Woo. Buddy, she's done.
Who's that?
Val, she's in the car.
Oh, she's
So Val is in the car. She's gonna take her to the train. So it's us now.
okay.
How many miles you have left?
6.2.
6.2, man. It's a piece of cake.
6.2.
Piece of cake.
Yeah, we did the worst. 6.2. We're taking
How
it
many,
in.
how many marathons have you done?
Today will be 36.
It's 37.
37 New York City Marathon will be 37.
You sure? Because you did 36 when we did Marine Corps.
37.
See?
37. By the end of the year, 38. Yes, yes. Honestly, I lose count because I just do them.
3
Yeah.
I usually do 2 or 3 a year.
This one's 4 for me.
That's 4 for
This
you?
one's 4 for me.
Yeah, her 4, 3.
3.
Her second. Your second.
And I'm not doing
All
anymore.
right.
So you say. So she say, okay?
No, I'm not doing
So
anymore.
she say, if she hangs around me, she'll be doing more.
I know. She
Yeah.
says that.
So she
She
say,
says that for 2-3 months.
hey, Z, where you going?
The legs are gonna get cold.
But we're gonna go, I know. But she's waiting for me.
Yeah, you guys can leave me.
Yeah, you guys will see. These are the speedster, right? So we're waiting here. I don't know why, because they're gonna come by and pass us anyway. So sayonara.
Yeah,
We'll see you.
Yeah,
So we're gonna get to mile 23,
Okay.
and then we're gonna walk run to get to 26 because this is basically a training run for New York City Marathon, which is in 3 weeks.
Right.
But we still want to get our Boston medal, so we're going for the 26.
Good.
So we'll see you.
Is that your phone?
Yeah, we'll probably see you around mile 23.
Yeah, well, meet us on Pelham.
How you doing?
Hi. I'm at 24.64.
That's right.
Okay, so I'm almost there.
I know it.
I'm going to slow down right here. I'm fine, but I took a tumble. But luckily, I have my screensaver on. So
Oh, man.
I fell. I looked
the
at
phone.
it. The only thing I was concerned about was my time and whether the phone was still working.
Right.
But I got 2 apps going at the same time.
Yeah.
I have the Boston app and I have the Strava. We're doing this.
That's
Doing
it.
this.
Go get that last mile, girl.
Yes, yes, yes.
That we had another runner who wasn't running with us, but she was tracking us. She was able to track us through her car, and she provided us with food and water throughout our entire route. We also had someone to come along who tracked us as well, Alan Carlson, and he tracked us and he was able to take pictures of us as we were running along our route. So he tracked us as well. So he got footage of us from the time we left to the time we finished. So now with me particularly, I went on the Boston app. So the Boston app tracked me. And they also did a countdown when I was coming towards 26.2. So once I finished with the Boston app and they said you were at 26.2, they did a little virtual yay yay. And then that information was, and that was complete. There was nothing else I needed to do. And then, of course, you know, at some point they would mail you your completion. They used to get an email that said that we've gotten your information, you have completed the Boston Virtual, we will be sending you your medal, t-shirt, etc. So it was an awesome experience because it was well organized. The route was so fantastic that I didn't even need music. Because usually what I usually do the night before, I pack, as most runners do this. If you have a race coming up, you always do your packing and you always do your house cleaning the night before. And what's house cleaning to a runner? They usually lay out all their clothes, they lay out their running shoes, they make sure their fluid bags are working properly. They'll put, you know, Gatorade or something, a coconut water or something in their fluid bag, medicines or anything that they think they should need, because 26.2 is a long period of time. Toilet paper, etc. Your bags are packed the night before. So you do all your little house cleaning the night before. Because remember, if we're meeting at 5 in the morning, I'm waking up 3:30, 4. I always get there early. Get there early. So those are, you know, some of the pre-stuff that you have to do. But that's something that you know going forward, especially if you're involved in a big race. You know, you always do your house cleaning the night before. It was an awesome experience. It was well organized. And when I said I didn't have to listen to music, that's how great that route was. It was fantastic. Fantastic. Will I ever do another virtual race again? Perhaps. Will I ever do another virtual marathon again? Absolutely not. I'll do a virtual 5, 10 miler, maybe a half marathon. A full marathon virtual? Absolutely not.
What?
Yeah, absolutely not.
Why do you say that?
I think 13 is enough. 13 is sufficient. There was a lot of little details that went into planning a virtual marathon. We're talking about 26.2 miles.
Right. So it's the route?
It's not just, it's the route, it's the length of time, tiny little details and stuff. And like I said, it was well organized, but for me personally, I'm ready to show up in person. Because when you do something in person, all you need to do is go 2 weeks prior to the race and pick up your bib. There's a lot that goes into planning a virtual race, especially when you're talking about distance.
Right.
Yeah.